Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's Grand Theft Auto 5 video, we're going to be talking about what is the best in terms of features and new things added in the Grand Theft Auto Online Smuggler's Run DLC. So we're going to be running through about 8 different topics about the hangars and the things you can do inside of them, touching on what things are the best. So let's actually start with the hangars. Now, I've touched on a little bit in my buyer beware video that you shouldn't buy a hangar in Fort Zancudo, and I still feel like that's the general consensus. So number one, the Fort Zancudo hangars are more expensive just by default. So it doesn't matter which one you choose, they're going to be more expensive than the two that can be found at Los Santos International Airport. However, there are a couple benefits to operating at Fort Zancudo. One of those benefits is access to a bunch of different vehicles that don't appear at Los Santos International Airport, like cargo bobs and titans and lasers. They spawn pretty much everywhere. So if you need one in like a GIF, you can just grab one from the runway and you're pretty much good to go. That's a pretty nice benefit. Another nice benefit is you're pretty much protected by Fort Zancudo. So even though there's a lot of things on the inside that can still kill you, if someone doesn't own a Fort Zancudo hangar, they're not going to be able to follow you back to your hangar without getting 4 stars on them and having to deal with the Merryweather that are inside. So that's kind of a pro and a con, as there's a lot of different things that can, number one, get in your way, but there's also a lot of things that can protect you too. That low-level security clearance almost acts as a force field against other players. Now, if we go back to Los Santos International Airport, the reason I prefer this hangar as compared to the other ones is because of 2 reasons. Number one, it's openness. The airport is super open. There isn't anything in the way. Very easy for delivery missions and whatnot. And number 2, it's location. It's located right next to a bunch of things I own, like my biker businesses, my CEO office, my biker warehouse, my import-export warehouse. So it's located way closer to all those than Fort Zancudo. And that is huge to me when it comes to dealing with all the other things I want to do in the game. So at the end of the day, I am still going to be choosing the Los Santos International Airport hangar over the Fort Zancudo one, but hopefully that gave you a better idea of why I decided to choose that over another. But there still is some good things you can do with a Fort Zancudo hangar. Now, let's move on to some of the upgrade options for the vehicles, because this is the first time we've ever experienced something like this in online, upgrading aircrafts. So when you upgrade an aircraft, the first thing you're going to notice is armor. Just like what you see on vehicles, 20, 40, 60, 80, and 100%. Now, this doesn't give the vehicle any extra armor protection in terms of explosive resistance or anything like that. It's just simply very similar to what we have on the cars. It can survive a few more bullets. If it takes damage or you hit the ground or you hit a building, it's going to be able to survive a little bit longer, but it does not give it the ability to, per se, survive another explosive, just like civilian vehicles you would pick up on the street. Same with the engine tunes. You can see it has EMS level upgrade 1, 2, 3, and 4, and the description is it optimizes your aircraft's engine for increased airspeed. Long story short, it just makes the aircraft faster, just like what you would do in a car. It just makes the vehicle quicker. Now, the one that's probably the most interesting is handling. The description for this is choose your aircraft's handling to fit your flying style. So the most expensive one is race handling, but does that necessarily make it the best? Well, handling is very similar to, I guess, sensitivity in games like a first-person shooter. So stock handling is going to be slower when you're rotating from left to right, whereas race handling is going to be more twitchy, where if you move from left to right, it's going to go much faster. So you can actually get away with owning something like smooth handling or sports handling if that's something you prefer. If you prefer a smoother ride that turns a little bit slower rather than super sharp, that might be the style you want for you. Whereas race handling, like I said, is going to be really twitchy, back and forth, super fast, especially on those vehicles like the Havoc and the Alpha Z1 that allow you to just zoom really quickly around places. So keep that in mind, that the handling might not necessarily be a bad thing if you don't have the Max 1. It might just be your preferred style. Now, there are some obvious upgrades that you should do to these planes, jets, and helicopters on a few vehicles in particular. One of them is the propellers on the air glider. So one of the options is a muffled carbon prop, and this will actually tell you that it reduces detection on the radar during initial accelerations and when freely gliding at slow speeds. There's no reason why you shouldn't apply this upgrade, because there's no downside to having this aside from the fact that you'll be off the radar, which is just a bonus. So that's one example right there. Another example, on the Starlight, on the thrust option, there's a rocket boost upgrade. There's no reason why you shouldn't do that. There's no downside to doing that. So there are some options that you should just do no matter what. Like there shouldn't even be a thought in the back of your mind. That's what you do. Now, one option that you can actually get away with not even using is drop tanks. So drop tanks, I think, is only on one vehicle so far, and that's the Molotov. But on some of the unreleased vehicles, there's drop tank options. So if you saw my customization video, you might have noticed that. The drop tanks don't do anything. I think drop tanks are supposed to hold extra fuel, but because we aren't measuring fuel in online, like we don't have to refuel our vehicles, that really isn't the thing that matters. So you can get away with not having the drop tanks. They are cosmetic only. However, one thing that's not cosmetic is obviously the weapons. If there's a weapon upgrade, do it. I think it's honestly just going to be a matter of, do you want to spend the sometimes multi-hundreds of $1,000s on them? But the weapon upgrades are always going to be better. There's not going to be a single weapon upgrade that is not better, whether it's on the Tula, whether it's on the Rogue, whether it's on the Starlight. All the weapon upgrades are going to be better because at the end of the day, you can still revert back to the stock one if you want. Or, for example, a plane that has, 7.62 machine guns by default, but gets homing launchers, you can still use the machine guns even with the homing launchers added. So, like I said, there's no point to not add them. You should totally go for them no matter what. Now, let's move on to another interesting debate, and that is countermeasures. We have smoke, chaff, and flares. So let's start with the chaff. So the chaff is an interesting one if you can't afford the flare. Basically, you get 10 of them, and you deploy the chaff to block incoming lock-on missiles. So the most effective way to use the chaff is when you hear the beeps. So for example, if you're getting locked on by a buzzard or another jet and you start hearing the beeps, that's when you want to deploy the chaff, because that will instantly cancel out the lock-on that they have, hopefully giving you a little bit of time to get away. Now, you can't use them like back to back to back. There's like a 10-second delay, so you have to be careful with that. And you also can't use them while you're on the ground. So if you're taking off and you're getting locked onto, you won't be able to use the chaff to save you there. Now, moving on to flare. Flare is probably the best option here. The flare is going to basically divert any missile. So you can use the flare at any time, but it's best to use it once the missile is actually shot, because the flare is actually going to detract the missile. So it will only work once the missile is in the air. Now, luckily for us, the flares kind of shoot out in fours and in a lot of directions. So there's a good chance that it'll hit it regardless where it is, but you just want to be careful. You don't want to do it too early, and obviously you don't want to do it too late where even if it does get attracted to the flare, it's right next to your vehicle and it blows you up anyways. And then you have the smoke, and the smoke really doesn't do anything. There's a bunch of different colors. There's white, black, blue, yellow, purple, orange, green, red, pink, and cyan, and they're all the same price, around $70,000, and they don't really do all that much. I can maybe see it as a distraction, but honestly, this would probably help someone just locate where you are, because the smoke follows you around for a pretty good amount of time, so it isn't all that great at being a big distraction. It'll likely just help your enemy keep up with where you are. All right, after that, we have bombs. So there's 4 types of bombs, and a lot of people have been wondering, well, which bomb type is the best? There's explosive, which is the standard one, incendiary, gas, and cluster. So I'm going to tell you guys right now that you can probably ignore incendiary and gas. I have not had any luck with those 2 bombs. Now, the reason for that is they are just the explosive bomb, but they have a little bit less of their power because some of it is dedicated to the incendiary feature, which lights the area on fire, and then the gas feature, which is like basically a cloud of toxic gas. Now, the reason these don't work well is because in order for someone to basically get affected by that, they have to be standing still underneath the area where the bomb drops for about 5 to 10 seconds. And unless someone's AFK or is in an incredibly slow vehicle that's not moving, that's really not going to be all that effective. So let's talk about the 2 big ones, explosive versus cluster. The main difference you want to know between explosive and cluster is the explosive bombs have a bigger blast radius. So if you're going for a stationary big target like a vehicle, you're going to want to go for the explosives. However, if you're dealing with players or people that might be navigating through tight corridors, the cluster might be your best option, because the cluster does shoot out like individual bomb pellets, if that's what I can say, in various random areas once the bomb is dropped. So my go-to is probably the explosive, which actually turns out to be the cheapest, unless I know I'm dealing with a certain player or I'm dealing with a very specific mission, and then I will ultimately end up shifting it to the cluster. But I would recommend that, number one, you save your money and you use the most effective one, which in my opinion is the explosive bomb. All right, and the final thing I want to touch on today, because this is done in the Hangar 2, and I won't spend too much time on it because I did a dedicated video to the best ways to make money with the new Hangar feature, but I'll reinforce this again. When you're sourcing, you want to source for either one item or the top 3. So you need to source for narcotics, chemicals, or medical supplies if you're going to go for all 3. However, if you're going to go for one, only do narcotics or only do chemicals or only do medical supplies. That is the best option as they provide the highest bonus. Now, overall, I don't recommend that you utilize the hanger feature. It's not all that great in terms of making money, but if you really want to, stick with narcotics, stick with chemicals, stick with medical supplies, and make sure you get the bonus before you end up selling, and then sell it all at once and try and make as much money as possible. But anyways, that's all the information that I'm going to be talking about for you guys in this video today. That is the best of the best guide as far as a lot of the new items and features that were added in the Smuggler's Run update, like the bombs, the countermeasures, some of the upgrades that you can do to the aircrafts themselves. Let me know in the comments section down below if you think there's something else that was added in this update that's pretty unique and pretty good that not a lot of people are using. I'd love to hear from you guys down there. If you did go and enjoy this video though, a like rating would of course be awesome. And also subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new or you like daily GTA 5 videos like this. With all the way, guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.